Hey everyone, Gemma here from One Church Scotland. Thank you so much for joining us. It's so good to have you with us today. If you haven't already, we would love if you could help us to reach out and connect with even more people through this channel. You can do this by simply pressing the red subscribe button at the bottom of your screen. We believe that regardless of where you come from or what your story is, everyone has a God-given purpose in life. Our prayer is that this message would encourage, equip and empower you to discover your full potential in God. So don't go anywhere, let's lean in and listen as we enjoy this message together.
Normally this is the bit where I would say it's lovely to see you all, but of course I can't. But it is really good to spend some time with you, albeit virtually. So make yourself comfortable and get a cuppa and a biscuit. No, seriously, if you don't have a beverage and a snack in your hand and you're not sitting somewhere comfortable, then consider going and getting a cushion, making yourself a cup of tea, grabbing a snack and coming back. Trust you've got your cuppa and you're all settled. Let's begin. Can I read you a passage to start with from the Bible? This is from the Old Testament, from Psalm 137. Psalm 137, we're going to start from verse 1 and then go midway through it. So Psalm 137 verse 1. By the rivers of Babylon we sat and wept when we remembered Zion. There on the poplars we hung our harps, for there our captors asked us for songs. Our tormentors demanded songs of joy. They said, "Sing to us the songs of Zion." How can we sing the Lord's song in a foreign land? Now we'll come back to that passage in a moment. But first, perhaps we should just take time to acknowledge that this is an unusual and unfamiliar situation for all of us. Already alluded to the fact that doing this without being able to see you all is a very odd thing for me. I can't see your faces, I can't judge how you're reacting to what I'm saying, but this whole situation is really odd. This whole coronavirus lockdown, it's just really weird. Nearly everything in our everyday lives has been turned upside down. It feels like the whole nation has been put on pause. And for most of us in our lifetime, we've never experienced anything like this. And we didn't see this coming, apart from perhaps some scientists that had the notion that we may well be overdue for a pandemic. No one predicted that this would come. And all the plans that we had for the near future have been frustrated. Even us at One Church, we had lots of things that we wanted to do and we can't do any of them because of what's happened. And I'm sure your own lives are in exactly the same situation. You've got holidays that you can't go on. You've got birthdays that you can't celebrate. You've got relationships that you're struggling to maintain. You've got businesses that you're worried might not survive this. You've got plans that are frustrated by something that's come out of the blue that's just made such a change into your life. I don't know how you personally feel about all that, but I bet for some of you, you're feeling frustrated, anxious, and perhaps even grief and sadness. Now, the passage that we just read expresses very much grief and sadness. In fact, if you read on beyond the bit we read, you can see that it kind of develops into anger. The psalm is about a time in the life of the people of Israel when they experienced something that was a little bit similar to what we're experiencing just now. But perhaps I might need to stop and give you a little bit of historical background just so you can grasp where the writers of this psalm were coming from. So if there's any kids watching, kids, just tell your mum and dad, Roddy says that this is your history and RMPE for today, okay? So at the time when this psalm was written, many of the people of Israel had been taken from their land to a foreign place. Around 597 BC, this was a time called the exile. What had actually happened was that the people of Israel, or the nation of Israel, had been invaded by a neighbouring powerful empire, the Emperor of Babylon. So the Babylonians had came, they had conquered Israel, and they had taken a large portion of the population away, and many of them to their capital city in Babylon. And there, those people who were ordinary people just like you and me, who had lives and jobs and plans and things to be getting on with, they had to start again. They had to think of what was going to happen to them now and what the future held for them in this strange and unfamiliar place. And this psalm tells us how they felt when they were there. In Babylon, far from their homes, they wept. They thought on what they had lost. They thought on Zion, which is the city they had came from, which seemed so far away and so distant, almost just a memory, and they wept. For some of us, there's been grief in this time. For some of us, perhaps already, we may have lost a loved one, but for some of us, even just the grief of this huge disruption to our life and the anxiety this time has brought, some of us may feel like weeping, just like those people in Babylon. And not only does the psalm tell us that the people in Babylon, the Israelites in Babylon, were sad and grieving over what they'd lost, the captors, the Babylonians themselves, demanded of the exiled Israelites that they sing a song of their homeland. And to that the exiled said, "How can we sing the song of the Lord in a foreign land?" Or, as my favourite 1970s disco outfit Boney M translated it, "How can we sing the Lord's song in a strange land?" How can they do what they used to do when everything is now strange and unfamiliar? Everything's different here. We can't sing the song of the Lord here. We can't worship like we used to. We can't sing like we used to. Nothing is the same. How are we going to manage this? How are we going to serve the Lord in this unfamiliar place? How can we sing the song of the Lord in a strange land? How can we do justice to God when everything is unfamiliar and scary? The psalm itself doesn't necessarily offer any solutions to this, but if you know a little bit of the history, if you've read around in the Bible, you will know that the people of God did find a way to serve their God and to honour Him in this difficult and unfamiliar place. There are so many individuals and so many stories of people who in exile were able to find a way to serve God. You have, for instance, the story of Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, who stood up for God and survived persecution. You've got the story of Daniel, who flourished in the Babylonian political system and survived death by a lion by the power of God. You've got the story of Esther, who actually was in exile in the successor kingdom in Persia, but Esther stood up for her people and averted a genocide. And at the end of it all, you've got Nehemiah, a man who was able to bring his people out of exile and rebuild what was lost. Ultimately, all these people in exile figured out how to live for God in this unfamiliar place. And if they had not, then perhaps the whole story of salvation might have died in grief on the banks of Babylon. And perhaps some of us are like those exiles, wondering how to serve God in this new and unfamiliar time. Perhaps some of us are tempted to despair, to conclude that because we cannot do what we used to do in terms of our faith, in terms of meeting together, in terms of worshipping together, that there is no hope. Or perhaps even just more generally, just this whole situation has provoked such fear and anxiety that we find that we're almost on the verge of being overwhelmed. How can we, the followers of Jesus in 2020, sing the Lord's song in this particular strange land? Well, I think, just like the exiles, we will find ways to serve God that might even be different to what we're used to, but still have the same heart. The heart of what we do is to love God with all our heart and strength and to love our neighbours as ourselves, and that mission will continue, perhaps in unfamiliar ways, but we will find a way to achieve those goals. Very recently, actually, I came across a situation that was an example of something new and unexpected coming out of this time, something good, new and unexpected coming out of this time. And many of you will have noticed this as well. It was the NHS clap. Now, some of you might not know what I'm talking about, but basically what this was a national call to, on a Thursday evening at 8 p.m, go to your front door and clap and make noise as a way to support NHS workers. Now, speaking as an NHS worker, I thought this was amazing, and I was unexpectedly moved by it actually when I witnessed it. Now, I say unexpectedly because I've got to be honest, when I first heard about this, there was a certain degree of cynicism in me. The very first night it happened, I was making my way to my front window. I didn't even go to my door, I just went to my downstairs living room window to kind of see what was going on. And I got to be honest, in my head I was thinking, this is Scotland, you know, we shout at football matches, we perhaps sing at rock concerts. Other than that, we don't really do coordinated national outpourings of anything or of emotion. I wasn't expecting much. As I went to my window, opened my window, kind of expecting to just end up half-heartedly clapping myself. But even before I got to my window, I could hear a noise, and as I opened it, I could hear all my street shouting and maybe banging pots and clapping, and it was amazing. It was an incredible thing. What interested me about all that was, well, that was a great thing, and it was a new and innovative way to express support, but there was a cynicism in me. There was a doubt in me that this was going to come off, and I think that doubt was very similar to the doubt that the people of Israel had on the banks of the rivers of Babylon all those years ago. And we find that, don't we, that as our circumstances change, as we go to something new and unexpected, we suddenly become doubtful that we can cope with it. What do we say? We say, this will never work here. We can't do anything. We can't navigate this one. How many of us just get banjaxed by a sudden change in situation? Now, we know in our hearts that God doesn't change, but somehow in practice it becomes very difficult to put that into place. The Apostle Paul, who had ups and downs in his life like very few people ever, actually expresses how he found a way to deal with those constantly changing circumstances. In his letter to the church in Philippi, he writes this. He says, I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need. I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all things through him who gives me strength. So like Paul, perhaps we can be content in all circumstances, in need or in plenty, if we rely on him who gives us strength. And of course, the ultimate example of this is Jesus. We're close to Easter, so perhaps even just for a moment we should consider how strange and unfamiliar it is for the immortal God to die, and to die in such a humiliating way. Yet that surrender to such an unprecedented event won for mankind the greatest victory and consigned death to the dustbin. How can we sing the Lord's song in this coronavirus infested world? Well, just like the exiles before us, like Daniel, Esther, Nehemiah, and a great train of other heroes, we will find a way in this weird place to sing the Lord's song. And it might not be what we're used to, and it might be a little bit scary at first, but trust me, while for us it seems like the whole world is on pause, the purposes of God will not be derailed by this set of circumstances. And he'll teach us how to sing in this strange land. New tunes, new words, different, yep, but with the same love of God at the heart. As I look around the county and the country and the world, I can see it. The church realising that this is an opportunity to do something new and exciting, even in the ruins of all the plans that we had. The very fact that you're listening to me now, electronically and remotely, tells me that you know how to adapt, how to change, and you have the opportunity to be part of something new and creative and different that God is doing, even when all you thought you were going to get up to has been put on hold. So, do it. Wherever you are, whatever position you find yourself in now, alone, overcrowded, isolated, busy, content, overwhelmed, tired, bored, scared, frustrated, whatever the landscape of this new country is for you, remember to resolve to serve God in the middle of it. Perhaps in new and unfamiliar ways, ways you never even dreamed of before this started. Sing the Lord's song, people. In this strange, strange land, and on the other side of exile, we will see what wonders God has done. Let's pray together. Lord, thank you that you're always with us, Lord, even when things are strange and unfamiliar and we feel far away from what we know. Lord, in this time, help us to trust in you and help us to continue to cooperate with your plans on this earth and to sing your song in a strange and unfamiliar land. Keep us safe, comfort those who are weeping, and let us move forward with you in this time. We ask it in your name. Amen.
Hey everyone, Gemma here. Thank you so much for watching. We hope this message has inspired you. If it's helped in any way or you would like us to pray for something, we would love to connect with you. You can do this by simply commenting below, or you can private message us through email, Facebook or Instagram. Our team would love to help any way we can, so please get in touch. Our mission is to reach as many people as possible and help them discover a life-changing relationship with Jesus. If you would like to help support the ongoing work of One Church Scotland, whether it's a one-time donation or through regular giving, you can do this by visiting onechurchscotland.co.uk and following the link to giving. Your generosity will help us reach even more, and as we continue to encourage, equip and empower others, thank you so much for watching. It's been great having you with us. Until next time, take care and see you soon.
You make me brave, you make me bold, you went beyond what the grave could not hold. You make me brave, you make me bold, you went beyond what the world could not hold. My battle belongs to the Lord. My victory held in His hands. Giants will fall at the sound, for fear has no hold on me now. You make me brave, you make me bold, you went beyond what the grave could not hold. You make me brave, and you make me bold. You went beyond what the grave could not hold. No weapon against me will stand. Love deep as the scars in your hand. Mountains will fall at the sound, for fear has no hold on me now. You make me brave, you make me bold, you went beyond what could not hold. No, no. You make me brave. And you make me bold. Yes, you make me brave. And you make me bold. Oh, you give me life. And you give me hope. For you make me brave. You made me bold. You gave me life. Now the whole world will know you make me brave. And you make me bold. You go beyond what the grave could not hold. It could not hold. It could not hold. It could not hold. You make me brave. You make me bold. You go beyond what the grave could not hold. You make me brave. You make me bold. You went beyond what the grave could not hold. It could not hold.